On this episode of Game Shack, let's talk all about the brand new NBA Jam Deluxe cab from Arcade1up. Is this a Hail Mary pass that comes up short? Or is this something that could lead the company out of darkness? Let's talk all about it. Coming up next. Hey everybody, welcome on back into the Game Shack. I am your host, JDV for Evil Genius Entertainment. Thank you for stopping by. If you dig this kind of content, give me a thumbs up on the way out the door. It really does help me. And of course, subscribe and hit the notification bell too. Okay, so let's just jump right on into it. A couple of days ago, Arcade1up announced a brand new deluxe cab for NBA Jam. It's going for $4.99. Some of the headline features are that it has everything that you kind of expect in a normal 2023-2024 deluxe cab, which is lit marquee, BOE screen that's 17 inches, no riser, a 3D coin door, Wi-Fi ability to play people online, post your scores, things like that. So all kind of good things. So let's talk a little bit right off the bat about the two headline things about this cab. One is it's a two-player control deck, which is what a lot of people have been wanting for almost all of their four-player cabs, because let's face facts, no chance in heck that anybody who weighs more than 200 pounds, that you're going to get four larger people around a four-player cab. It's simply impossible. So in one regards, it's a good thing because people have been asking for a two-player controller deck on there. However, because this thing is only about 18.5 inches wide, it's going to be very hard for two adults to get around this thing. So it's a sort of takes two steps forward and one step back. The only justification for not simply having this be a one-player game is the fact that maybe two kids could get on there, or two very small adults perhaps could enjoy a game on there. Otherwise, it really is a single-person game. So again, you'd be expected to play this thing online. In terms of that, they're not giving you any new games. They're not giving you any new functionality. They're not giving you any players that maybe they didn't get in the first few varieties of NBA Jam that you could get, including the pretty amazing Shaq Jam XL cab. We're going to talk a little apples and oranges of that here in a second. But of course, the biggest headline of all is the fact that this thing is a much skinnier cab. It's almost like the XL Shaq Jam cab had a baby with a casino cade, and this is what you get. You get a cab that is only about 18.5 inches deep as well. So that's why we see the lip probably on these photos that are available on Amazon site. And you can see that little lip there. And you can see it in comparison to the casino cade. And so yeah, you can see the bottom half of the games are very, very similar. So some people are saying that they're just reusing old casino cade parts, which of course are still in stock everywhere and still going for a crazy high price. It really is kind of like a normal deluxe fell in love with a partycade, and this is what came up. So this seems like it's a nice compromise, and it does appear that Arcade1up has given up on the partycade, because I think for them to make any kind of profit, they had to charge $300, and that was the price that most people were not going to pay for a partycade. So this thing is kind of like a tweener, right? It's 18.5 inches wide, 18.5 inches deep. It's 5'1" tall, so a lot bigger than a partycade, but just nowhere near as intimidating. One of the things that a lot of people have a problem with, though, is that they're charging $4.99 for this cab. So this is supposedly a deluxe cab that has a whole lot less material in it. In fact, if you compare this to the Shaq Jam XL cab, it is nearly 40 pounds lighter and 3 inches less small in all the dimensions. So that 40 pounds is a ginormous amount of material. So you'd think that it'd be cheaper to make, cheaper to ship here to the States. It'd be cheaper to store, cheaper to ship to you. And all things, it should be cheaper to get out into our hot little hands. Yet they are still charging that premium price of $4.99, despite the fact that you are getting no new games, no new players, no new functionality, nothing other than that new design. My bigger issue is the fact that you're still only getting 3 games, and that business model has got to die from Arcade1up. Otherwise, Arcade1up is going to die. I know you might have these PCBs, and you might have a whole warehouse full of them, but that's not a good enough excuse. You figure out a way to flash those PCBs. You get some more games on there. I don't care if it's Clax. I don't care if it's anything. Put Rolling Thunder on. I don't care. Put something on there that you have the rights to. It doesn't matter, but you got to give me more than 3 games. This era of putting on 4 games, 3 games, that is no longer going to work. It's just a dead idea. especially if you are not making it arcade real. I can see in the Shack XL version, because look at how magnificent that cab is. I mean, you're basically getting a real arcade machine that has 3 separate arcades. This is almost half the size of that. It's almost half the weight of it. And so to have no new functionality in it is kind of a bummer. Now again, if this was $299, I think this is an all-day buy and you could live with some of these problems. But at the suggested retail price of $499, this is a hard pill to swallow. But I do believe that this is the first new design cab from the new management at Arcade1up. Time Crisis and Fast and Furious, the 2 other actual arcade cabs that we saw in 2023, were both projects that were designed or started by the old regime, and I believe the Casino-cade was as well. I think that was something that had been in the works for some time. So again, not started by the new ownership or new CEOs of Arcade1up. So this represents really the first new arcade design that we are seeing from this group of people. And of course, I think, you know, we're seeing some of the same mistakes, which is too high pricing, no new functionality, no new games, no new characters, no anything. So those are all bad. But I do think that the form factor is not necessarily a giant negative. I really do want to play this and see if I can have any kind of good enjoyment on there, at least as a single player. I just wish that the savings had, you know, kind of come down to us. Maybe at $399, this is a buy for sure. At $299, $349, but at $499, I think this is going to be a pretty big dud for them. And this is a time when this company can ill afford a dud. Again, see my video, The Rise and Fall on Arcade1up, when I get into that. You know, this kind of feels like X-Men 97, right? In as much as it's a Frankenstein cab, you're using same PCB, same exact titles, same artwork more or less, but just in a slightly different form factor. A lot of what Arcade1up has been doing feels a little bit like when you see a big stretch of freeway that really needs to be repaved from the ground up. Instead, they just put down those, you know, little things of asphalt that kind of fill the holes, but not for long and not very well. I think that's really what this cab is, what X-Men 97 has been. What we really need to see from them is some sort of sea change, right? We need to see either a lot more games on these cabs or new titles altogether, completely new design, you know, something like Star Wars Pod or something, you know, something truly different than what they've been doing. And instead, what we are seeing realistically are weaker, watered down versions of what we already have. Now that doesn't mean that that won't necessarily fit the bill for you. Like, I am interested in this cab because I do want an NBA Jam cab, but I did not want those big monstrosities. This kind of does appeal to me, but I'm not an arcade purist really. As long as I'm getting the feel and the sense that I'm having an arcade experience, that is good enough for me. But I know for a lot of you guys it's not, and this is dead in the water for a lot of you. But let me know down below if you have any interest in this cab. Do you think that this helps revive Arcade1up at all, or is this just a really half-empty bucket in a really leaky lifeboat? All right, let me know down below. You know I love reading you guys and stuff. All right, so that is going to be the end of this episode. If you do like this kind of content, give me a thumbs up on the way out the door. Love each other, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the Game Shack. Mwah!
Be sure to visit evilgeniusentertainment.com for exclusive content, swag, casting call news, and much, much more.